So how many fittings do you typically have? 2, 3, 4?
A lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more. It needs to be as good as we want it to be and the gentleman wants it to be.
So Tommy Nutter and Edward Sexton, did they have very kind of defined roles?
With Tom, he would go out to dinner with John Schlesinger and Bianca Jagger, and they'd just say, Tom, we just have to have one of these suits. And he'd come back and everyone would cut it. And that was a unique sort of balance of the two, one very creative and one very practical.
Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. Today I'm here at number 12 Savile Row with Joe Morgan from Chittleborough Morgan. Joe, thanks for having me.
My pleasure, and it's a joy to be part of your trip today.
Well, thank you. You know, one thing that immediately struck me when I came here was that what you do is very different than elsewhere on the row. The lapels are wide, the shoulders are kind of there, and there's canvas all over. Walk us through how you came to create a style like that. It is so unique.
Well, it really started in 1969 when I was, my first boss, well not first boss, my first boss in Savile Row, Tommy Nutter, was allowed to come to Savile Row, and the reason he was accepted is because he did the same quality of work as all the other bespoke tailors. And what they did was create a lovely, beautiful gentleman's suit, but it was just a little bit ordinary. So when Tom came, he allowed men to express themselves, not only with like brighter blues and brighter pinks and greens, but in the way that the actual suit fitted him. So he had a stronger shoulder line, very close high armhole, and a much more hugging body shape. So the gentleman could compliment his wife or his partner.
Yeah.
And they both look fantastic, as opposed to the gentleman saying, my wife looks fantastic, doesn't worry about me. So it does, you both look fantastic now. And this is how everybody wanted a Tommy Nutter suit.
Well, and to really understand how kind of revolutionary it was at the time, let's have a quick look at that blue suit that you said men wore in the 50s and 60s.
So this is an archive piece. You can see that the lapels are 3 1/4 inches. The shoulder line is soft. So this suit is like 25 years old, 30 years old. So it still has a way of being worn, but the shape and the model is not what we're doing today. So if I could show you something in 1972, would you like to see that?
Yes, that would be amazing.
So this is something coming from where gentlemen were wearing the suit that I just showed you, whereas this is an archive piece that we made for a gentleman, not Tom, but a gentleman in 1972. So consequently, the shoulder lines are different. The armholes, again, are very high, close in the waist. And this is a lapel that everybody from 69 to now has from our sort of model. And if I may, we have these nice long side vents. So this is a piece made in 1972, but Tom wears it now for a party, and it's good fun.
I mean, just, you see the belly of the lapel, the lapel tip is almost at the kind of, really, roped sleeve head.
Quite.
There's hardly anything there. On the other side, it basically overlaps your chest pocket. And this originally was a black color. It's just faded from some UV rays.
Yeah.
And the fabric is lovely too. It feels like a mohair, right?
It is correct.
Very nice.
But the whole idea is that this is sustainable. People, we have gentlemen bringing their clothes in that we've made in the 70s, getting them altered for their grandchildren. So how cool is that? That's just so good looking.
Absolutely. And you see the flaps here, quite oversized, piped as well, piping in the front. So it's a very unique style. And in a time when people go with soft, you're like, no. We're going to go with structure.
Quite. And definition.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Appreciate you.
So this is the whole thing about bespoke. We're competing with ready-to-wear. Ready-to-wear has very little sustainability, fills landfilled, and but we have our clothes that stay with us. They're all natural fibers. If you were to get one of our suits and throw it out of the car and let it fall onto the sort of forest floor, it would biodegrade. It would just, whereas we get man-made fibers coming in from around the world, and they're here for landfill.
But you were kind enough to kind of get some things out of the archive here for us. This is like Nutter's Christmas greetings with the Nutters soccer team. You didn't call it football team, but soccer team.
Well, this is Tom and his influence with the United States. He was a great fan of the US, and this is what he sort of put together. So yeah, it was a good group. We didn't win, I'm afraid, and we weren't very high up the league, but it was just good fun.
Your jerseys looked great.
And why not do this?
All right.
And this is again 35A where we were originally, and now it's been demolished and no longer. So we've relocated on that.
Interesting. So here we got a little brochure from 2011, Tommy Nutter, Rebel on the Row.
So this was an exhibition in Bermondsey at the London Design Museum.
So Tommy Nutter was the visionary of those lapels,
yes.
how they were built up.
Yes. And he gave men that sort of ability to express themselves. And who else was there? And I don't think, with respect, that England looks after its sort of icons, because he was just forgotten, really. And it's just unfortunate that, Italy has its Armani, and France had his, Karl Lagerfeld, and Tom, there's nobody here to say that Tom's, in that category.
So Tommy Nutter and Edward Sexton, did they have very kind of defined roles? Did both do the same, or walk us through that?
Yeah, well, with Tom, he would go out to dinner with John Schlesinger and Bianca Jagger, and they'd just say, Tom, we just have to have one of these suits. And he'd come back and Edward would cut it. And that was a unique sort of balance of the two, one very creative and one very practical, and able to define Tommy's designs into everyday clothes.
Well, I see here you have, it says Elton Wembley 84.
Well, this is one of Tom's designs that he put together for one of Elton's sort of...
It's like this tailcoat in black and white.
Yes.
One pant white, the other one black. Shoulders really built up.
Quite.
Did that actually get produced?
Yes. Oh, yes. I think there's a whole catalogue of productions that Tom worked without. All his life he worked without.
Wonderful. And so, what was your part in all of it?
Well, I joined Tommy and Edward in 1970 as an assistant cutter, and I worked with Edward and Tom from then on. And unfortunately, Tommy left, then Edward left, and we've just stayed on with the company, just developing it and creating, let's say, a brand that compete with the best in France, best in Italy, and the best in the world. So we think we're doing that, and we're just promoting London because we get, such wonderful patrons come here to London to visit us and have clothes made.
So everything is made here on the premises?
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. To a very high standard.
Do you cut every single suit?
Yes. Everybody has a pattern. We have, lots of patterns, lots of fittings here.
Wonderful. So you also brought some books here. What's in the books?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have them from the very early days because they got lost. But we've just got these ones picked up from 74. This is where Mick Jagger came in to see us, and he had a blue gabardine suit.
How do you make H blue?
That's blue.
Yeah.
A blue gabardine. And he had a single-breasted jacket, and he had trousers and something else.
Black gabardine, maybe.
And then we have other gentlemen that come in. Elton John. So we have Elton's there that has something here, and this is all in Tommy's handwriting. What else do we have here?
Because at the time, people just noticed Tommy Nutter did something different. People wanted something different. It was fashion forward.
Yes, not necessarily fashion, but he gave men the ability to express themselves. And I think this is really what, let's say the style icons of the day saw in Tom. We want to be part of what he wants. So we have here Elton John, a red gabardine. This is a red gabardine that we're working on for a gentleman.
That inspired by the original Elton John?
Not quite, but yes, gentlemen still want to express themselves.
Interesting. So we see here This is the canvas, flapped over here, made in England. Very nice. And then the collar. Yeah, it all feels very substantial, but it's also not military stiff.
Oh no. I think our clothes, it's unfair to say they're military because they do make one sort of stand up and sort of express their body shape. But
Like, you notice when you wear the suit.
definitely.
It kind of helps you and your posture as you stand up.
Yes, and it gives you a good, strong empowerment of your shoulder line and your chest area. So something from going to, we'd probably talk 74, we're still making things in that sort of like
Silhouette.
concept to it.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed with your gorge line, it's, a little lower than maybe some Italian suits today. So the big lapels, don't stand up over your shoulder.
Oh no, we don't do that. When we take our measurements and we fit, we measure our point from the shoulder seam to where we feel that it's stylized, and then what we do, we want this long line into the body shape, so the whole emphasis is into the waist and then out again to give it that sort of body shape,
That waist approach.
which is really important because it gives height and presence.
So you also favor a single button, it seems. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So and it's right on your natural waist?
Yes, if not sometimes slightly higher, because what we want to do is give you this line into there and then flare out the jacket a little bit. So it gives you height, body shape and presence.
Interesting. And then all your sleeve heads seem to be roped.
Slightly roped.
To different degrees. Do you have
Yes.
sometimes more rope, sometimes less
So
rope?
we do. It's so exciting working with people that adore clothes, and we just say, look, we can give you this, and they say, yeah, I can deal with this. And then if we don't like it, we take it off. But yes.
So how many suits do have like turn-ups or cuffs on the sleeves, would you say?
A lot.
A lot. Is that the house style?
It is a house style, but it's also handwork. And how nice it is to somewhere in London that, let's make it elegant. Let's make it sort of adventurous. Let's make it style-like. So when you're at a party and you're shaking hands or you're holding a drink, who else has got a cuff?
So do you try to match the height of the cuff on the sleeve to that on the trouser hem?
This is 2 inches.
2 inches?
And our turn-ups are 2 inches.
2 inches.
Flaps, 2.5. Lapels, 4.5, 5, 4.5, 4.25. So we work it on the gender. We mark everything. We don't just say, this is our house style, you're wearing it. If you're comfortable with this, it's like our trousers. We like to put our trousers high onto the waist.
So belly button about?
Possibly there's a hip bone here that we all have. So if we can get the seam roughly on that, we're comfortable. And we always, at the fitting, just say to our sort of gentlemen, if you're comfortable with this height, we'd love to put them there. Because lots of people, they don't get anything else. They get trousers that fit round here. So their legs are long, the actual proportions from the shoulder line to the waist are too low. So there's an imbalance there. So we try and balance the whole body shape up so it harmonizes together.
What are the materials you like to work with typically?
So this is an English fabric. It's what they call a golden bale. It's 2 warp, 2 weft. Lovely to tailor because we call it tailoring, but we bully and brutalize the fabric and getting our shape to what we want to do. But this is tailoring. For us it is. So we need a fabric that can work with those demands. And this is a unique fabric. They use staple lengths, which are much
It's
longer.
a nice worsted. It's not lightweight,
No,
but it's also not heavy.
No, quite. This is like an 11 ounce, which is fine for us. They make it in the 13 ounce, but it's like all English fabrics, the quality is getting smaller and smaller, and we would like it to get bigger and bigger and less designs. So the Italians, what we work with, they do 2 warp, 1 weft, and it's not so easy to tailor. So if we say to our fellows out here that sort of work with the clothes, what would you prefer? They prefer an English fabric. No question about it, an English fabric.
Interesting. And so if you're in the market for a suit, if you see the suit and says, I like the lapels, I like the belly, I like the long skirt, what's the process of ordering a suit from you? And how long do I have to wait?
Well, sir, we need you for fittings. So if you're flying in and then you're flying out again, we have to see you next time. So we will get a fitting prepared, put the fitting on you, and then we do not go to the next stage until we're comfortable and you're comfortable with it. It's a process, and people come to us. They come to us for a reason, and they're fortunate where they're quite happy to wait, because they're not going to get what we give them from anywhere else. But they, hopefully at the end of it all, they have something special in their wardrobe amongst all their other clothes.
So how many fittings you typically have? 2, 3, 4?
A lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more.
Because you want it to be perfect?
It has to be. It has to be, or it needs to be as good as we want it to be and the gentleman wants it to be. It's very, very difficult to give people things that are not quite right. Okay. It's very important.
So, for people, let's say in the US, they'd have to come here to London for the fittings, or do you travel?
I used to, but I can't get out the country now, primarily because I just don't have time. But I used to go to New York and stay at the Carlisle Hotel in the spring and the autumn, but I don't get time now. I don't get time.
So yeah, truly a London experience, and you have to come here if you want.
People adore coming to London. London needs them back. It's something that we have something to offer, and fortunately at the moment it's bespoke clothes.
Yeah, I mean it's nice. You have like the Milanese buttonhole here. It's a very neat, very nice, and you're double-breasted. You add them on both sides.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. Yeah.
And all your lapels. I mean, there's no strobel padding. It's all neatly padded by hand. Even like your boutonniere loop. It's not just a few loops strung across, but this is, what do you call this?
It's a buttonhole stitch, and it's normally a little crescent. We make a little crescent out of it. So what we don't want to do, it's like a pocket. My trousers are in by hand. The zips are in by hand. There's a lot of handwork everywhere.
And even like, the flat, oversized flaps, if you open your jacket, I saw on the inside, the pockets, they're usually quite big. They're like big triangles. So it's a very distinct silhouette and style.
What happens when I used to travel, I used to put an airline ticket in there. And invariably, you can't have it too deep because it impacts on the waist. So we go up 2 inches. Here, like so, up into there.
Oh, so you can fit an airline ticket
in there, and then you can fasten it. So you're not going to, if you throw it down, or you take it off in the cabin, you don't lose it.
So, yeah, that's an interesting. You go up. Yeah, interesting. I haven't thought about that.
Well, just like small things, but I think people now, I don't know. Things are a little different, but the emphasis for us is on detail and giving people like an extra phone pocket and small accessories they might need for, if we just put a glasses pocket in and we lined it with velvet, so the glasses are softened when they go inside the pocket, also they keep it polished. So small little things that we can work on.
Interesting. So you don't do just men's tailoring, right? You also have women's.
We do some. We do.
So what's the ratio for them? How many men versus women?
Oh, we do quite a lot more men's than women's, but they're made in the same sort of way. It's just everything's the same. And our sort of ladies, we impact on the shoulder line, and we do tend to have the shoulder line just that little bit more empowering. The padding stitches on the inside. What we do is it's suffragette colours. So you've got the purple, white, and green. So it's just all the paddings. So the ladies have some sort of storyline within the model. Nobody sees it, only us and them. So but it's important that the structure is as important as the visual look on the outside. And clothes need to be sexy. They need to be sort of like energized. And what's the point of having them if they're not?
So do you make more suits, overcoats, tailcoats, or hunting attire? Is there anything that you focus on?
Basically a boring blue suit. And then we make odd jackets. We make overcoats, top coats. We make morning coats, dress coats, the lot. We're gentlemen's tailors. That's it.
You offer the whole program.
We look after gentlemen. Yes.
Very nice. Well, do you offer shirts too?
Well, we do, but shirting in London at the moment is a little difficult. We have some Italians that work on our shirts, and but it's very difficult getting them from them.
Okay.
It's an
Wonderful.
Italian shirt.
Wonderful.
We cut a very close high armhole,
Mhm.
and what we do is in our canvas, we put a front side dart and a shoulder puff. So that allows us to concave the shoulder and get a straight shoulder line. The front side dart in the canvas allows us to push the chest forward. So we don't have width here, it's just flat here, and we push our chest through the lapel to come on this stage here. So it's very, very technical, but we don't want our gentlemen to look bigger than what they have to. One needs comfort, but we can give them comfort, but also get them to look pretty cool.
Nice.
And again, we've always cut a side body, which means that from the underarm cut, we go right the way through the forepart, and we take a lot away from here into the waist, and then we flare it out at this point here. So the adage is, if we cannot take it any more into the waist, we flare it out here.
So you get the more hourglass shape.
Exactly. It's the same with the back as well.
Okay.
We angle our vents from here into the waist, so it gives it that sort of image from the back.
The hourglass, kind of more attractive feature. And then your front quarters, they're quite straight and then have somewhat of a larger radius.
Yes, well, it's like all things, with our trousers, because we put them high, we'd like them to sort of hit that sort of point there and then gradually come out. When one moves and you use the pocket, they open up, but we tend to keep that quite straight through here.
And so for your trousers, you typically have 2 inward-facing pleats. Is that your standard?
Yes,
or?
yes. What we do, we have 2 pleats, and because we like to ease fabric into the pleats, we now don't like it to show. We sort of put a small dart in between here and here. You don't see it, but it allows us to give us more into that band, and then it bursts open like so.
They're quite deep pleats too, right?
They are, because sometimes you don't really necessarily want your pleat to pull over like so.
Mm-hmm.
We give a reasonable amount of cloth so that it falls reasonably well, but you don't want big baggy trousers like elderly gentlemen.
But even on this side, I could see, your flap.
Well, this is our fall.
Your flap, it's very nice. Yeah, it's like a coin pocket, but the flap is very elegant. It flares out like this, and it's rounded like that. It's beautiful.
Well, this is really why in London at the moment, this is why we want to stylize things. It doesn't have to be like a boring square flap.
Yeah.
Hey, let's create something.
Let's create something. And it's the same on your side adjusters here. If you pull back and maybe show
Yes,
to the camera
yes.
here, you can see it's just, you can see there's some fun in there. It's not just run-of-the-mill standard. You really like to have a very defined shape. That's very dynamic.
Yes, yeah. And this is an open seam on this here.
Oh, interesting.
Normally they would finish at the pocket, but
Yeah.
we take it right to the very, very top. It's just, it's a bit sporty for a formal suit, but we do this quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a highly unusual detail. I haven't seen that. So it stops here? No, it continues all the way
right
down.
to the bottom.
So does it help you when you walk at all?
No, sir. It's purely a style detail. And it's something that if you have clothes made by lots of people around the world, we have to give you something that's a little different, but something that's sophisticated, a little bit more handwork, and we can do that. This is what we do.
I've never seen that. What are other details that make you unique?
Well, I think the intensity of the canvases that we, they're all natural sort of fibers.
Is it like horsehair, or is it?
We do. We have an Irish linen, we have horsehair, and then we have a damet, and we put cuts into our front thigh and our shoulder to give this presence that when you're standing, the suit, the jacket will tend to give you a lot more structure.
And you feel it. I had a jacket on, it was maybe a little too small for me.
Quite.
So I felt it from the tightness, but it's kind of, it feels like it builds you up.
Quite. It also gives you a visual impact, which is quite nice, because some people go to a party or go to a function, or they're giving a presentation. They don't want to be lost. They need to have this sort of empowerment that they can just present themselves. We help with the clothes.
Lovely. I noticed, your flaps at the back, they're quite angled. which again gives them a bit of a dynamic. Do you cut your pockets straight or slightly, like, angled?
Our pockets are straight, but we do make clothes with jackets with angled pockets. It's not sort of sporty anymore. It's not sort of weekends country. It's something that we can do as a feature. And but again, the side vents are pretty long.
They are pretty long. I mean, normally, they align with, if your pocket is straight, sometimes they come up all the way there. That's already long.
Yeah.
But yours go, like an inch or two even above that. And it all comes from this idea of, I mean, if I look, it's almost at the buttoning point, really.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And the idea is just what?
Well, I think looking from the back, if one doesn't necessarily have an acute waist, so we start off from here, then we bring it into the waist,
Yes.
and then we come out again to the shoulder. So it gives that image of a waistline, which I think is very important, and it gives height as well.
One thing I notice here too is your sleeve, and you can turn around again if you want. Your sleeve, there's quite a bit of room, which is something that I like. Because I think, upper arms oftentimes are quite constricting or restricting. So you don't have that. You go for a high armhole, but then a bigger sleeve on the
Yes,
upper.
our sleeves are, in actual fact, quite narrow, but because we cut on a high armhole, because of our shoulder line, which is higher, the armholes are not that small. So we need a sleeve to go into the armhole, but then we slim it down as we get further down to the cuff, because our cuffs are sort of like normally about 10.5, which is in order.
And you're wearing like a barrel cuff here with buttons, and
cuff.
so there's not much space here for like a double cuff.
No, but
So
I think a French cuff would be fine. But with the fitting, we will measure this. But you're powerfully built. You've got strong structure here, and that's why you need, your deltoids here coming through. You need sort of like movement when you're on the telephone and you're.
One thing I have sometimes issues with is like a prominent seat, right? Like my hips or my bum is a lot bigger than my waist, and so having long pleats may lead to like a gapping. Is that something that you found, or no? Do you put like reinforcements or like horsehair or interlining in
No, sir.
pleats in the back? No.
We have quite a few gentlemen that have 50 waists,
Mm-hmm.
so we work with them, and so it's just a case of giving you the back the width that it needs. Lots of people come into us and say when they wear anything, sort of they can't put their arms forward, so we give them just that little bit more back so they can bring them forward.
They can bring the arms forward. So is there anything that you're particularly proud of here at Chittleborough Morgan?
Only that we've taken the Nutters name forward, Nutters of Savile Row Limited, where Tom and Edward sort of started and created something. We still have their DNA in our brand here, and we're small. Not many people know about us, but the people that do know about us, have the best suits in London.
Awesome. So I'd be curious to see, a few more garments, and maybe we could go through them.
If you wish, we could bring them through. This is our ladies' model. So again, sort of reasonably powerful shoulder, a rope sleeve head, a narrow sleeve, cuffs.
You're nicely roped, and you can feel it all the way.
How nice
front
that
to
is.
back. Yeah, it's
And
nice.
for me, it's really important if you're at a party and you arrive and you think, well, who's here? And then you see this back structure with the rope sleeve heads and the pretty cool sort of...
The hourglass shape is very attractive.
Yes.
Very kind of flowing lines. And I can see the skirt here with the flare, as you mentioned earlier. Beautiful. And even the vents here, I mean, they're not straight. They're
we
flared
angle
out.
those on.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, a little nice detail. And look at the overlap. So I can see why it doesn't gap much, because really down here, I mean, you have solid like 5 inches.
It's something that the whole process is something that it's made exactly the same way as our gentlemen. But we hope our ladies, when they wear it, they get this empowerment that makes them look and feel good. And it's not a man's suit, it's a lady's suit, which is, we've moved on from what they call the boyfriend jacket.
Now, I've seen on Anna, she had lapels that were so wide that you would hardly see the chest pocket.
Let me bring her through just a minute.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for modeling.
So Anna's working on wearing our vintage piece at the moment, and this was made in 1970.
For a woman or a man?
A gentleman, but now it's a boyfriend jacket for Anna. So consequently, the armholes are a little bit high, but the actual concept and the line is just what we do today. This has a centre vent.
Oh, a centre vent,
as opposed to side vents.
Okay, not a hook vent, but even there, it's quite a bit of an overlap there.
Yes, yes.
So, but you've gone to side vents mostly.
This was our original Nutters of Savile Row model.
Was centre vent.
Centre vent with the two-cross flap, out ticket flap, and
that's almost like 3 inches, though, you know.
Yes, this was
And I noticed, you know, that the button was set over quite a bit. So the idea was that the lapels would really overlap. And so when you know, we see here not much space between the sleeve head, but it's a really strong belly. So when you have a striped fabric or like a checked fabric, do you try to drape it with the iron or do you just cut it off?
No, what we do is we follow this section, which is straight with the stripe, and then this goes to where we want it to go.
And so the stripe would just like
peter off. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But what we'd like to do, if we may, is we could pop a blue jacket on Anna, and you can see what the contemporary. So 1970.
1970.
And if we could look at what we're doing today.
This fabric is also quite nice because I see it's probably a fiber dye.
Yeah, there's a whipcord, and it makes up nicely. And for a suit that's quite old, it's still looking pretty good. It's something that, you know, a lady could go to her husband or partner's wardrobe and think, oh my God, that's, you know, it's a handmade buttonhole.
And with a big lapels, you also go for a big long buttonhole. Is it difficult to sew? Do you need very long arms because the thread has to be so long?
It just takes a little longer. We don't mind. It's all about the sewing, the craft, and we this is what we do.
Okay, all right.
Could we see the blue jacket?
Yeah, let's look at a few more garments. It's lovely.
So this is like from 1970, and you know, you're looking at like over 50 years, and you think, well, we're still taking this model now and utilizing it, like with Tom. You know, he can wear his jacket at a party and still look cool, and this is what we want from our clothes.
So I mean, you've been around since 1970. That's 54 years.
Yes,
that's quite a while.
Yes.
So
yes.
What's your vision for the future of Chittleborough?
Well, it's just a case we've got a very small brand and we've just been very disciplined. And it's the same with Tom. You know, Tom had all this visionary, but he was never really looked after, unfortunately. And this is what happens in England. So you have to go out and do what you want to do. In Italy, different. In France, very different. And it's like, you know, we're competing with the ready-to-wear. And they throw their clothes at people, and you know, we don't do that. We're just here for ladies and gentlemen that want to come and have something beautifully they can't buy anywhere else, and this is where we are.
How long do they have to wait?
A little while, sir. A little while, but you know, most of our people have a wardrobe, and they come to us. That's something a little bit special.
Okay. Well, how much do I have to invest in order to get a?
Well, it is. We have patrons that, you know, our prices start at £7,000. So, you know, we're not cheap and we're in a luxury market. But, you know, this is what we have to charge. We're training young people too. So again, this is the boyfriend jacket of today. And again, we have a Milanese buttonhole here.
Very nice.
There's very slim sleeves, good strong shoulder line. And
the lapels have a little bit less of a belly. I think they're very elegant. I think the other ones are definitely more 70. I think this is a very good transition into this day and age. Right. And the flaps are just, you know, ever so slightly smaller, but still oversized, ready to wear. For example.
They are. Yes.
Can you turn around again, Anna?
So now we have side vents on here.
Okay.
So again, the shoulder line is pretty neat, a little bit snug through here, but this is something that one could wear and enjoy wearing at a party.
Wonderful. And this wasn't made for you. You just put this on for us to.
No, it's just so we can see this.
Yes. Thank you, Anna. Are there any other garments you'd like to show us and walk us through?
Well, we have some extreme garments that we work on, and I'll show you one if I may.
I can see this jacket is quite it looks to me like, a runway. There's these aircraft carriers, the British ones, that go up a little bit. It reminds me a bit of that. And yeah, the sleeve, would you mind turn towards the
Yes,
camera?
yeah.
So you
So
can see?
this is what they call our pagoda shoulder. And again, for someone that wants that, has got lots of clothes and they want something a little bit different, or for some young cool fellow, when you're at a party and you see the back, it's pretty neat.
I mean, this obviously wasn't made for you.
No, no,
right? So
no,
it
it's
doesn't
just
fit you perfectly, but
no,
one gets the idea. I like that the lapels are still present
quite.
and they're big, but they're not 1970s big. So I like the silhouette. I like where
This is
taken it.
Allura Piana.
Seersucker.
So, yeah, it has silk in this cotton, so it gives it just that little bit more presence. It's beautiful blue, and again the cuffs, the flat pockets, same front edges.
Yeah, I think earlier you said you had like a very expensive piece of silk velvet. Will you just use it for the lining for the glass pocket, or is that something that you'll make the entire jacket?
Oh no, we're making a gentleman. He's having this Lovett tweed jacket. We want to fit that, so when we go in cut the velvet, we know where we are. But some gentlemen do tend to alter, so we want to have this fitting, and then we'll once we've altered the pattern, we'll cut into the velvet, French velvet.
Excellent. Is there anything else that you'd like us to see?
Yeah, no, everything is, apart from the red gabardine, which is not a boring blue suit.
Yeah.
We have a dress suit here that we're working on.
Morning coat.
This is a dress suit. It's for evening.
Oh, evening.
So you're wearing a
tailcoat.
white waistcoat, and again, this is our padding in here.
So you make the waistcoats and everything too
Yes.
from the Marcella piqué. Oh wow, look at this. Does it always look this beautiful? Or was
Not always. Ladies, we have the suffragette colours, and but this is what gentlemen we've just put the purple and the red. But that's the intensity of the padding that we have. We have another jacket it's in pieces at the moment, but we've put pleats along the back.
So here we get some pleats that would be a pleated back.
And so Tom invented this in 1970, and he used to make them in plain grey suits like this with this pleated back. So you're at a party and you've got a boring grey suit on, and then when you turn around, you've got this pleated back, which is incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Well, it's even harder to do with this patterned fabric.
It is. Yes, it is.
You look here, you're very kind of consistent, but the entire fabric is in here, so you have to be very precise.
Indeed. So this gentleman's from Spain, and he's having this made. So we're working on this at the moment.
Now you mentioned, boring grey suit. A little earlier you showed me a not so boring grey suit. Do you think we could have a look at that again?
This is Allura Piana, cashmere silk and linen.
Very nice.
So this gentleman's has a waistcoat with this, and so this is and again we have a Milanese on the lapel.
Oh, on the waistcoat.
Yes.
Oh, that's lovely. So all of your waistcoats seem to have a lapel. Yes. And it's designed like that from the get-go. It's not like a faux lapel.
Oh no. It's just like exactly the same as our jackets.
And then the other thing I like is they're all basically fabric backed. So it's the same thing. And then even here, the flaps on the waistcoat. Beautiful.
And also we have a small pocket on the inside. So should you want something for security, like a passport.
Oh, even on your
waistcoat.
On your waistcoat. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then is this like Cupro lining? Do you use silk?
Yes, it is. Well, we use this. We use normally silk, but we had to use this because of the collar tones.
So what do we have here?
We have a grey Allura Piana, 14.5 micron cloth.
So very fine. That's why it's very soft.
It's about a 9-ounce.
Is it like
flannel.
a worsted woolen flannel?
It's a flannel. It's virtually cashmere.
It's very nice.
So then we have a check waistcoat.
With a lapel again.
With the lapel, and it's the same colour tone in the grey, but it has this white stripe.
This window pane.
Oops, sorry, and then we're going to make some noise here. But here we have the trousers, and the trousers are striped. So we have a stripe, a check, and a plain cloth. It's a combination suit. So consequently, it's like a boring grey suit, but it isn't. So when it's a conversation piece, when you get to, with your contemporaries or your friends.
It's highly different. And here we see again the flap, and even here the pattern matching is really neat overall. So very, very nicely done.
And this is cut for braces. So the band.
The fishtail back kind of.
Correct. That they only go to the front here. Then we have them.
Oh yeah, so there's basically no waistband in the back, just in the front. In the US, when they leave the waistband away completely in the front, they also call it the Hollywood waistband. Yeah, because apparently that was
Duke of Windsor.
And that was the fashion of the day. Oh yeah, here the buttonhole. So you like the button flies? Is that a default?
No, it's just a change. I think some of our gentlemen have buttons, some enjoy the zip. In fact, we've had one fellow that's had buttons since year one, and he's just said, oh, can we change them and can we put zips in them? But we can. This is what we do.
Yeah. Well, Joe, it has been lovely to see all your garments, and I really like that you have a distinct, unique silhouette that is not just what everyone else does. This is very distinct. And I want to thank you for that.
It's my pleasure. And could I just say thank you, because you understand what we do.
Yes.
Lots of gentlemen that come and say, oh, we're right about you, do not understand the process of bespoke, but you do. And I think you've got this infinite ability of detail, which I commend. It's very important.
Thank you. Thank you.